is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 225. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him... E, sitting here on a Sunday, Austin, Texas, middle of Marathon May, coming off what was, I think, a surprising result last night. Not exactly the one that you can jump up and down about. You didn't exactly hold yourself to your word and skip out of Q2 last night. But from my point of view, it certainly could have been worse. How you feeling, my friend?
I feel great, man. The last however many episodes this month have usually been pretty miserable. And, as people are logging in just to see how much of my mind I have lost at some of the decisions going on with this club right now. But this was a great match for this team. I was super proud of the way that they showed up. I was super proud of the way that they played. They deserved 3 points last night. But I know that both of us said we would have been happy with one. And I am happy with one. But seeing how thoroughly we outplayed them, I know that we deserved 3 there. And that's a bit frustrating, but I'm not going to be, focused on that because we were fantastic last night. Such a rebound and such a turnaround from these last couple matchups for the Verde and Black there. So super proud, had a wonderful night, had an interesting night, but it was good.
Yeah, we'll save that one for North End After Dark. Yeah, man. So we'll talk about it. I was noting to you before we hit record here today that I'm not sure I have a single Vancouver bullet point in the notes here. We'll go through it. We'll recap everything that happened in the match against Vancouver last night. We will preview. It's Houston week, everybody, Open Cup style, and it's a kind of a different team than we saw like 3 fucking weeks ago. So we will preview the Houston match. We'll close it out with some best keeper in the world. But before we get into the rest of episode 225, just want to remind you all listening or watching on the YouTube channel that the best way to support the show, you actually support us financially by downloading the audio versions of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts. You can toggle on auto downloads. That'll support the show going forward, and you don't have to think about it again. Go the extra mile, rate and review the show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hitting the subscribe button helps us grow the show. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on this episode, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords and the offside flag. Atone for your sins. Watch yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So, not a ton of time for any sort of news to break between Wednesday night's, late draw against Atlanta and Saturday evening when the lineup drops. But it was a little bit eye-popping, at least for me, to see that this team ran out the exact same lineup, save BHI getting back in there for Julio Cascante. I did not expect that. But hey, man, if those guys can recover enough in less than 72 hours and put out, a performance and effort like that, I guess I could say, because, as satisfied as we were with the result relative to the expectations coming in, you're still never happy to get truly happy to get anything but a win at home. Mm-hmm. But again, I was just pretty surprised we didn't see rotation, just given the schedule that this team has been through and what's still ahead.
Yeah, no, I was shocked too. We're sitting there before we're about to head up to the stadium, and it's just like, okay, we definitely anticipated some rotation, speculated as to where it could have come, and then you see the same 11, like you said, outside of BHI. And, in the past, I think we will continue to feel this way, where if we trust the performance staff to know that these guys are ready and able to handle it, then I'm in. I'm down for it. So part of me does like that, Nico and his staff decided that they really wanted to go for this game and not to just look at like where Vancouver's sitting, how badly they beat us in the last matchup, and be like, we need to get something positive going here in the league as we move to the rest of this month of May here. So I was happy with it. And, even despite the fact that the subs are a little late again, which I thought was once again surprising. And you did see some guys out there kind of hands on knees, like gasping for air, trying to get their breath and everything. But they fought really hard last night, and they dominated a team that has been dominating everyone else. Mm-hmm. So it was the right 11, in my opinion. And like you said, not jumping up and down for the result, but I said we were going to live with the result if those guys brought the fight to Vancouver, and they sure as hell did that.
Yeah, I'm with you on all of that. And sometimes the formations on your FOTMob or any other app, right, outlet that you're looking for pre-match can be wrong sometimes. Mm-hmm. But Osman Bukari was on the right when we took a look at that, headed up to Q2 last night, and that is how it played out. And for those of you, whether you watched it at home or you were at the Q with us, how about that?
Yeah.
How about that? And we'll talk about it plenty because I think he was the best player on the field last night, or certainly the most threatening.
Mm-hmm.
But Osman Bukari, look, turns out when you play your $7 million Champions League goal-scoring right wing in his natural position, he's pretty fucking good. Who would have thought? So let's cut the look. And as we go through this match, right, in the end, I know I'm jumping ahead here. Fresh legs come on with Hot Air Obrian, but Buka stays in the match. If he's going to go to the left in that circumstance, I'm totally fine with it. Because if Hot Air's best position is on the right and he's got the fresh legs, I'm fine with that. Okay. But, right, beginning of a match, fresh legs, Buka, whatever. Like, the majority of his minutes need to come in his rightful position. So unless you have anything else, we'll have plenty of Buka talk here. Let's get into it. Third minute. And again, it's all Austin right from the rip here. Long ball from Guilherme Biru down the left in the third minute. Going towards Brandon Vasquez and Tristan Blackman, right? The Blackman-Veselinovic pairing back there is one of, if not the best tandem in the league right now in terms of center back play. But Blackman nods that away right into the path of Azuni. And he's got a lane, it looked like, at least from the north end, and on the broadcast as well, because the announcers react momentarily there. He's got a lane to try to drive towards goal, but pulls up, changes the field all the way out to Wolf on the right side. And unfortunately right here, Owen kind of lets his concentration lapse for a moment because that ball runs through his legs and just derails that break that was on for a moment. But Austin stays in possession. And Heinz Ike right here plays a nice ball from about 25 yards out through to Owen back on that right side after they had cycled it in possession. Owen finds Bukari, and then Osman turns Veselinovic around, getting to the end line, and wins a corner off of the deflection from Veselinovic. That was our first kind of glimpse of the night. It's like, oh, look, he's on the right. He's making somebody look silly. Mm-hmm. Off that corner, Wolf puts it right to the head of Heinz Ike. And the strongest Brendan Heinz Ike header I think I've ever seen in an Austin uniform is going in the goal. And Vancouver is very lucky in this moment that U22 fullback Eddie Iracampo is right there. And like, he didn't even really have to move. It just kind of goes off his head. And it goes out for another corner. But god damn would it have been poetic 3 minutes into this match that Brendan Heinz Ike, of all people, scores a goal off a Vancouver player's head and into the net. God damn, I wanted that for him.
I wanted that really bad for BHI as well. But again, right from the start of this game, out on the front foot. I'll talk about the Mirtu thing really quick. I think that is a confidence thing. I think it's the indecisiveness that we've seen, where if he was hot right now, he's probably taking that by himself and letting one rip. And a great corner here by Owen into the mix. And yes, this should have been a goal. Very fortunate. And I think this might be Vancouver's highlight, honestly. Like this is their
goal
play.
Line clearance.
Outside of Takaoka, who was really fantastic. And I think probably saved them from not losing that game. So super encouraged. You see Buka. I mean, Tate Johnson's going to have nightmares about last night. He might have vertigo from how many times he got spun around and just was like completely lost. But there he is on the right side, immediately making an impact on this game. And, there was 6 or 7 people in the North End being like, oh, look at that, Buka on the right. What a novel idea. And I'm just like, that's what makes sense.
Well, so we get that second corner, and that's looking for, I believe, Biru at the near post. It was either Biru or BV. But that goes out for another corner headed out by Vancouver. And the third corner gets put into the mixer, but Sebastian Berhalter takes a foul and we go the other way. But it was nice early pressure, and the Berhalter on his ass count is at 1. 6th minute, great long throw by Biru here, putting Brandon Vasquez in a battle towards the end line on the left, going up against Blackman again. He very clearly kicks this off of Tristan Blackman and out for a corner, and none of the 4 officials saw it. And I think, man, like, I don't want this to be the Fuck the Refs podcast, but over the last 2 games, these crews, not only did Wednesday's crew affect the game materially, like you affected the outcome of that game, I just thought these 4 officials last night were flat out poor. And we're going to have more bitching about the officials as we go through here, but like, it's just, again, it's very frustrating to have this downturn in officiating, it feels like, over the last week, because it's not like, again, the result did go against us in a sense on Wednesday, right, with the non-existent offside call. But like, I don't know, man, you just got to be better than that. You can see that on the broadcast. There's like, we have somebody in Arlington watching the game. We got VAR. You can't radio into Q2 Stadium to the 4th official like, yo, just fix this real quick. Like,
we don't.
It's just simple things like that are maybe even more frustrating than the tougher calls that sometimes get missed.
It's been unfortunate to watch the last couple of games where the refereeing has been really poor. Because outside of these couple of games that we've had recently, I think the officiating has been solid as a whole. But these last 2 matchups, man, were just really embarrassing performances for both of those crews. And this is clearly off of them. I don't know what else to say.
In the 12th minute here, Biru, kind of in the middle of the park, plays this pass with the outside of his foot, trying to get it to Brandon Vasquez, and kind of scuffs it a little bit, but luckily BV is able to kind of check back and get there anyways and just quickly usher it out to Osman out there on the right. And Buka turns, charges forward, as do his DP counterparts, and he plays an early kind of teasing ball that bounces past BV. It's a little far for him, but it does connect with Azuni, finding him on the back post, but he's not able to corral it, and it goes out the other side for a throw. But again, you're less than 15 minutes in here. It's kind of all Bukari and winning corners and getting the ball to the 2 forwards. Like, it's everything you want to see, but the actual finish. And like, that's just the unfortunate part walking out of there last night, is that while it's clear progress in the way things looked, and the stranglehold that Austin did have on that game, but the theme remains of just, you can't finish.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to not be able to score a goal in this game, because we absolutely deserve to win. And the Buka show was on. It was live. Everyone was seeing it and just seeing his talent on display. And I thought that raised a lot of the play of the other guys. And I, like you said, the 3 DPs here in action. And like, we were aggressive. We were on the front foot and we looked nice.
Well, I wanted to, I think to your point, right, when Buka is over there and the teammates can sense and then can see tangibly, this guy's going to get the ball into dangerous spots for us. So if I run my ass to these spots, like, maybe I'm going to get a goal here.
Yeah.
And I also chaos. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And then the defensive attention starts to come. They did not consistently double Buka, which was part of the reason why he was so noticeably effective in his chance creation and his shot creation. But the few times, at least in the north end, where we got the up close and personal look at how they were guarding him, when the double teams did come, I wanted to give him praise too for making the right decision in the majority of those moments by just dropping it back to Wolf or to Gallagher and cycling it around and keeping the pressure on Vancouver rather than trying to be the hero, which we've seen, probably more often than some fans would like throughout the course of this season. Again, we're still early here, but it was, to me, clearly Osman's best performance of the year to date.
Yes, absolutely. And the way for him to respond after all of this stuff has been circulating around him, he's obviously frustrated. The goals aren't coming, everything, but like, he's still locked in, and that's really great. And God, he was just absolutely mixing Tate Johnson so many times. And like, we were giving Tate Johnson the business, just like, this ain't the super draft kid. Like, this is a different league, brother. And to your point, absolutely. Just get the ball off your foot. If they got the double, let's reset. They got to adjust, and then we can get it back to you if we need to, which I think we did a couple times as well.
Yeah. And then a 15th minute goal kick from Stuver, targeting Brandon Vasquez, as he tends to do here in 2025. It bounces over Brandon, and then over both Osman and Veselinovic, and Osman takes off, gets past Veselinovic with not too much trouble there, turns the corner on him into the area. And look, man, I mentioned Blackman and Veselinovic, just the individual defensive play in this moment by him to make this tackle out for a corner. Like, I know there was shouts in the moment for a pen. I thought it was a good tackle in the moment. Osman did not protest either, and you watch the replay, and it's just a very top level play there from the Vancouver defender. But again, like I don't fault Osman there at all. You're inches away from earning that pen, and he's getting the ball right into the 18 again. Sometimes you just got to credit the defense.
Yeah, and like you said, this might be the best center back duo in the league right now. So, gonna tip my hat to him. It was a fantastic play, and yes, in my opinion, and in real time, and on the rewatch, just watching it, he got ball. I think he got ball first, and there is some contact going through there, but would have been a very, very soft pen, and I don't think it would have been deserved. But still, the pressure, and I think we're sitting up there, and I'm just like, we've had all these games where it's like we have positive momentum early in the first half, and you're still unable to go get the goal and set this game up for success. But this felt different. It was just like, we're here. We can play with you guys. We're on your ass right now. They got nothing going on. And it's cumulative pressure at this point, hoping to get a goal. And this was a good look for us. Good chance.
Yeah. And I think another thing too, to that point, as we were saying that as the match went on, right? This is the blueprint of just a gut-wrenching loss. That you dominate the first half, and it's up against such a good team in the Heat who have some very talented pieces that you expect to see off their bench in the second half. And I guess that's something that I don't think we talked about walking out of there was we kept saying this is the blueprint for a loss. It's happened to us so many times, and it didn't. So, credit to the guys, credit to the defense.
Absolutely.
17th minute here. You get Heinzike fouled outside of the Vancouver penalty area, but 25, 30 yards from net here. And Sabovic and Ilya line up over it. And we're sitting there, Debo comes to the game. He missed the Wednesday game, wasn't in the stadium with us. So we lean over as, this is Vasquez. We just saw this. And then, nope, Sabovic. So Ilya touches it to Sabo, who plays it low, through the wall. And it gets a deflection, and it goes right to Brandon Vasquez. And I know that this isn't the easiest ball to corral right here, but goddamn if he could just get a touch on frame. Takaoka, I don't think knows much about that one in the moment after that deflection, and BV tried to trap it looked like, and get that second touch. And hindsight 2020, and again, the level of difficulty on securing this ball is high.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there. I think all of us were saying, one touch, just push it, give it a Takaoka. I'm sorry, I had to do it again.
There was a lot of spin on that ball once it came off that deflection. There was a lot of spin on it, a lot of movement on it. But yeah, man, this would have been a great opportunity to go ahead and put one on him. And the Sabovic thing was interesting to me. And I think it was interesting to most people after seeing what Vasquez did with his attempt last game. And we're sitting there after his second one comes, it's just has he been ripping in these in practice and just bagging them all the time? What's the sudden change? Because I think he's only been on one before this.
Dude, since the Houston match, he took that curling shot that went a little bit high and wide right, but I don't think we've seen him on a free kick since then. I don't think so. It's been mostly Owen or Jean when Jean is in.
Yeah, and look, I think it was early in this game, and you and I both said we could use a nice Sabo game tonight.
Yeah.
He
could use one too.
Yep. And I thought he had a really good game. I thought he was solid. I think there's an attempt in the second half here where he could have made a better decision with the ball, but I understand what happened.
Yeah. So 28th minute here. And again, you notice it's just Austin Notes probing the Vancouver defensive third again here. You got Owen with some nifty footwork to hold off multiple defenders, which there could have been 6 or 7 notes that are identical to that. This kid is a demon with the ball.
Unbelievable. It's I've said before, it's like watching Seba light, but at this point you can almost remove the light because he is out there just absolutely cooking dudes and good defensive. He buries Kubas later in this game, which just absolutely destroys him. And Kubas, we talked about in the article, it's if you want to go see how good that dude is and how impactful he is, go watch what he did to Messi in Miami and his defensive presence in the midfield and taking care of those guys. But Jesus Christ. Also, like Buka had so many fantastic moves as well that were just like, damn, like, yeah, we got this. But Owen, man, he keeps going up, which is just crazy to me. He because we were like, okay, what else could his ceiling be? And to the point where it was just like, how many assists could the guy have right now if we were finishing shots, even at a normal pace, right? Like there's multiple attempts where he would have been up there for more assists. So he's been fantastic, man. He's been absolutely incredible, and it's just a sight to behold when he's out there just like chopping 3 dudes up.
Yep. So after he does that, he drops it right back to Guilherme, and then Biru and Sabovic play a little 1-2 there, like slick back heel flick from Sabovic in this moment to free Biru up, and then Biru gets back on that ball, whips it towards the back post, and Osman rises up over young Tate Johnson here and forces a good save by Takaoka to push it over the bar. And God damn, I wanted one for Osman. Of course, he wants to score every time he gets out there, but he was a man on a mission last night, and the only thing that stood between him and banging that man of the match drum at the end of the 90 and us spiking the Osman football today was Yohei Takaoka. So again, I know on FOTMob, Takaoka gets the man of the match, and it's hard to disagree.
I totally agree. I mean, this would have been a poster dunk because he just rises up over Tate Johnson and blasts this one. A great reactionary save by Takaoka here, and you just got to tip your hat to him.
Yep. 35th minute, Austin in possession once again. Gallagher plays the ball over the top to the 18-yard box, and Biru heads it kind of across the edge of the 18 into the path of Osman, who chests it down to himself and then smashes it towards the back post where it goes wide and just past a sliding Biru. And I think in that moment, again, you see Biru's instincts knowing Osman's cooking tonight. This ball is coming towards that back post, because when he heads that to him, he sprints towards that back post. So again, just inches away from, breaking the deadlock.
Yeah, that was a real close one. Biru put in another absolutely awesome shift last night. He was everywhere. He was making plays for us. He played solid defense. And we saw an early double. I know there's not a lot of whole Vancouver shit to talk about because there's everything going on. But we saw an early double on Sabby when Biru was there. I think it was Sabo who came over to provide that double. But Biru held his own all night versus a guy who really kicked our butts last game. And Sabby gave us some real fits.
Yeah. When it's not just Sabby, then you get freaking Jaden Nelson coming on. So it's like, here's, your 2 Canadian international wingers coming at you, and Biru just dog tired at that point in the second half. But Biru also picks up the first yellow of the game here in the 39th minute. He and Ocampo get yellows after a little shoving match that started with an incorrect call out of bounds. Ocampo kicks this between Biru's legs out of bounds, and I guess they claim that there was a deflection off his calf or something right there. So it wasn't the most egregious call in the night. We had 15-yard penalties later in the game, but but again, it starts with the incorrect call that leads to the double caution. So again, the officials not doing their job correctly.
No, and Biru's going over to get the ball because he knows it didn't touch him, and he gets caught up with Ocampo there. But I mean, that's just God, I love Biru, man. Just being able to, he don't give a shit.
Yep. 43rd minute, Buka earns another corner here after taking on a double team near the end line and went into deflection. Wolf's service finds the head of Vasquez near the spot, but his attempt just goes right to Takaoka, and then 2 minutes of stoppage given in the first half, and a little bit of an awkward moment at the back for Stuver, but he's able to boot it away as the Vancouver attacker was bearing down on him, and Azuni gets under that one, nods it forward, and the Whitecaps defenders slow up because they see Vasquez is coming from an offside position right between them. And Osman Bukari sneaks in from the backside and just takes that ball. He's in on Takaoka, plays it right around him. And one more time, Takaoka's it into the net. Everybody goes crazy, green lights, smoke, and the flag goes up. And unfortunate, he was just like Brandon, coming back from an offside position. But I am glad in the moment, even though it didn't count. I'm very glad that Osman finished it instead of what we've seen other Azuni or Brandon do on some of these goals where you get a breakaway, the flag goes up anyways, but you didn't finish the shot. It doesn't hurt your confidence to go ahead and beat the keeper one-on-one there.
Absolutely. And like this was such a confusing play because obviously you see BV and he stops, and like that's where my attention and focus was. It was just like initially I was like, well, why is he walking? And then I was like, oh, okay, he was offsides. And then Buka shooting out the back, just I hadn't seen him. So I thought he was on, and
Same.
I start dancing because I knew it was coming. I was dancing and just like ready, and like, yeah, the green smoke goes up and everything. But unfortunate. But again, we should have scored a goal. We should have won the game.
And coming out of the half, there is a double change here for the Whitecaps. You get Laborda back from injury, Adekubi back from injury, in for Ocampo and Johnson. So swapping out some very good fullbacks there for a pair of very good fullbacks. And then 47th minute, Austin right back on the front foot, back on the attack here coming out of the half. They counter-press after a turnover down there in the south end, and they win it back, and Osman and Owen kind of come to the ball at the same time. Buka ends up taking it, and he slides it right to Bessard at the top of the box, and Sabovic fires it with a ton of power right at Takaoka, who deflects it up into the air, up and over for a corner. Look, that is a big improvement from what we saw him do with a similar chance in a similar spot against Cincinnati, where he just weakly tapped it out of bounds. Yeah, fucking put it on the keeper, make the keeper make a play. And again, Takaoka was on it last night.
Yeah.
Was this where you were talking about decision-making from Sabo, or was it a different play?
No, there's a different one coming up where he it's when he rifles it. This one goes off target, but he's got Buka on the right of him, and Buka's if you just tap that forward, Buka's in on the goalie, he's going to score. I did like the attempt, obviously. I thought this was a very nice play, a very sexy play, just to drop this off to him and let him have a go here, unfortunately, right at the keeper, but a good shot nonetheless. And like you said, one of the things we've been worried about and like concerned about with this team has been the regression. Like it's like we're not getting better. Like the results obviously are still not coming, and like the goals are still not coming, but like it was getting visibly worse to watch this team play and what they were doing and the product they were putting out there. But last night you really flipped the switch, and I'll go into a bit more after we wrap this game up. But
Sure.
We were right there, man. Should have won the game. And like this is just an unfortunate one that goes right to Takaoka, who again saved their night. Like, Stuver has saved us before when it's been a 0-0 draw, and we've had to have him make some incredible plays. That's what their keeper did for them last night.
So 2 minutes later, Owen takes it off Berhalter at midfield, which every time we did that last night was getting a little extra cheer from me.
Yep.
And Austin's off on a counter. Vasquez plays it back to Owen, who holds it up, lets Osman overlap, and then plays a sweet through ball to Bukari into that space, and Osman crosses it to the feet of a sliding Vasquez, and Takaoka gets a hand to it, man. Again, like,
yep,
it's repetitive, but like this is just what happened last night, man. It was all Austin and Takaoka keeping him off the board.
Yep, absolutely. That encompasses the entire game for us here, but still, like, I just want to see some goals, man.
I know. Everybody does.
But man, and like, look, right? Like we talked about some of the comments that Nico made after the Atlanta game in regard to the decision to have Buka on the left.
Yeah.
And like immediately versus a team that is a much better defensive unit than Atlanta. This is the best defense in the league, y'all. Like, this is the number one defense in the league.
And they still are after last night.
Yep, with goals conceded and the XG conceded as well. They're tops in the league. This is the best defensive unit. How many times did Buka break a line on this team and put them in positions where it's like scramble, find somebody, and like they were able to get away with it because of Takaoka.
Yep, yeah, and like in that moment too, with Owen playing him through right there, you see how just unstoppable it is because Owen holds up everybody. 21,000 people almost last night. So, well, according to the club, saw Buka making that overlap. All 11 Vancouver players on the field, and they couldn't do jack shit about it.
No, there's nothing. There's no real counter to speed, just pure speed. There's like you can be a great defensive player and know body movements and being able to watch people, but like just pure speed, there's nothing you can do with it. You're just not as fast. Like that's it.
Yeah. A few minutes later in the 53rd, I think this is what you were talking about with Bessard a minute ago. Nice throw in on the far sideline from the broadcast camera from I believe it was Biru. And chested down by Mirtu right into the path of Sabovic. And he takes a shot, goes wide, and Berhalter clatters into him. Like, I think because he got the shot off, there's no call there. So that's where I don't think I saw Buka there. Was he kind of available there in that moment to maybe sneak in for an easier shot?
He was wide open. Wide open. And you see him go like this a couple
Mm.
times where it's just like, it's a bang, bang play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Sabo comes running onto it, and he has made up his mind that he's letting this shot go. But yes, Buka is absolutely standing all alone. If you just play him into a little space, he would have been right in on it.
Another change here. And again, this is where the storyline starts to form again, the narrative around our subs not coming on, what some people perceive as early enough, because now we've got Priso and Jaden Nelson coming in for Savvy and Vite. And that's a lot of, again, talent and speed, especially with Nelson down that right side. And it's also, right around this time, like 70th minute, where you start to see hands going on knees and bent over and trying to catch your breath. And Guilherme Biru was one of those guys.
Yep.
And I thought for surely we're going to see Jean Kolmanich in this match. And we don't.
I mean, after Biru got that yellow, I said it right away. I go, okay, well, we're definitely seeing Kolmanich tonight. And that was in the 40th minute of the first half. So, like, I was shocked. Biru's got clearly visibly gassed. Buka clearly visibly gassed. Owen clearly visibly gassed after a while with what he's been doing there, too. And, like, this has been such a brutal and grueling stretch of games and for this team that I was surprised that we don't get the first sub till the 81st.
Yeah, 68th minute, you get a yellow card to Ilie for taking out Nelson on a potential counter. And I don't have any gripes with the caution being given there in terms of just soccer, but like the way the official's been calling the game, like it was very, very inconsistent, almost right from the start of this match.
Is this the one where it was right before they did the same exact thing to us?
Somewhat. I feel like there was multiple instances of like something called on Austin and then it's let go the opposite direction. Like the one I'm thinking of comes up here in a few minutes, but I think you may be right there as well. Cause like 75th minute, this is where I want a screen share for those on the YouTube, because I didn't know that you could rough the passer in the MLS. Like Berhalter 2-hand tackles Owen right here. And then drives him into the ground.
Literally drove him.
And we're watching it together here on the YouTube. Tell me how this is. That's a foul on Owen?
And like Berhalter ran and sprinted towards him because he knew he was going to foul him because of what just happened there, where it looks like there's some physicality between Owen and who is that 3 there? Is that
Atakubi?
And like, look at the way he runs right at him.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm going to foul you here. He fucking spears him into the ground. I wish we tagged him. That's insane. I wish we tagged him a little better last night, because he was reckless last night too. He got away with a shit ton last night. And like the cards end up being 3-1 for Austin for the yellows.
Yeah.
And like, this is called on us. That's a yellow card on fucking Berhalter. Like, what are we watching? And homeboy's right there. He's right there.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get that call. Again, it didn't change the game, but it's just poor quality. And like, you gotta have better. Okay, so 81st, we finally get the first subs here for Austin. It's Obrian and Duber-Sarski in for Owen Wolf and Brandon Vasquez. And I think I saw some folks, and I know the announcers, who you and I don't always hold in the highest regard here, especially when they're watching the game from thousands of miles away sometimes. I understand Brandon Vasquez coming off here. Out of the forwards, he has had the least amount of rest. And at that point, man, with how leggy we started to get in the last 15 minutes, I totally understand bringing on Duber and Obi, because then you have Obi, like we were talking about, how we thought Osman should have come off the bench a few games ago, no matter what, to stretch the line. Like, Obi's there now with some fresh legs to do the same, and you get Duber-Sarski in to help try to shut things down in the midfield as Vancouver starts to get a little bit of momentum in the closing moments of the match.
Yeah, no, I was fine with the subs. BV's been running ragged as of late, and like, maybe I would have gone with CJ here instead of Obi, but I do understand the speed element and the aspect of fact that we had been breaking that right side, that right line consistently all game, and Hot Air also possesses that level of speed. Maybe not to the same degree, but he is a very, very, very fast player. So I get it. And I think we're driving home, and I said to you and Debo, and just like, I can respect a coach that wants to play his best 11 players as much as possible. Like I can respect that, because I get that. So, I don't think there was any glaring issues for me with Nico and his staff. Obviously, you get Buka on the right, you're going to automatically get an A in my grade book. So, it is what it is. I thought hot air was fine too.
Well, I think some of this, like, I was saying in the moment, Wednesday and Saturday nights, that like I thought our subs, I wanted them before they started jogging to the midfield line. But I also think that we may see those patterns change a little bit as this team hopefully starts to get healthier over the next 2 or 3 weeks, right? If you have Danny and Dessler and Robert Taylor at your disposal, like, you feel a little bit better about the guys, whether it's those guys coming off the bench or some of the guys that started last night now in a reserve role. Like, you feel a little bit better about them. Again, no disrespect to the guys who were on the bench last night, but we know the quality of the trio that is sidelined right now, and it does change things.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if you play the way you played last night and you get those 3 guys back into your rotation, you're going to be a good team. Like, you're
going to make the playoffs playing like that.
Yes, you will. You'll beat a lot of the teams on the back half of this schedule who are not even close to the quality of Vancouver. If you play like that and we're healthy. So hopefully we can keep everyone relatively healthy to close out this month, and then get those 3 dudes back and feel really good about ourselves.
82nd minute, here's a handball on Blackman, and Sabo plays it quickly, like over the top, and Buka's got in behind the back line here, so now he's one-on-one with Laborda. He dekes to his strong foot on the right, fires a shot that I think Takaoka does a really good job to get down to his left and save it out for a corner. And that was kind of the last truly threatening moment, I think, really for either team in this one. But my one gripe in the 90th minute is the people in the North End trying to start the Wave. And I hate the Wave. If you're a longtime listener, it's been a while since we had people trying to start the fucking Wave at Q2. But like, look, man, if we're up 3 or something like that, all right, you guys have a blast. 0-0 in the 90th minute. Stop, man.
We had to find something to complain about.
CJ does come in for a Zuni as well in the 90th to get a couple minutes there. I believe it was his 8th straight league match that he's made an appearance. So you also see the confidence from this coaching staff in a guy like Fodre. And again, like, this is a player who got a contract extension recently. And I think, again, continuing to try to build up his confidence is something that me as a fan, I'm very interested in them continuing to do. Because we know what CJ has in terms of his just like raw athletic gifts on the soccer field.
Absolutely. And I think, I've said it, I don't know how many episodes ago, but when he's gotten in, no matter how long or short that time has been, I think he's made the most of his minutes. And I'm really excited for him and his progression moving forward.
44% possession for Austin at the end of this one. 15 shots to 5 in favor of Austin FC, 4 shots on target to 2, also in favor of the home team. 10 corners to 2 for Austin FC. Just 1 big chance created, though, and 1 missed. I imagine that's I don't think it's the Heinzike shot, because that shot was blocked. I'm not sure when the big chance would have been.
The Buka header?
Potentially, yeah. The Buka shot from even at the top of the 18 there late. I think it felt like to me there was more than 1 big chance created, but absolutely. I'm not a model.
Takaoka was standing on his head. I think Buka probably scores that one late if he had fresher legs at that point, because he was also somebody too who you saw who looked gassed, and like, despite the fact that he hasn't been playing full 90s as of late, he can. But we haven't seen him really do it consistently, so he was definitely a little bit gassed there. But, I mean, we were kind of cracking jokes earlier before we were up at the game, and it was just like, the quote about unbelievable amount of chances versus Atlanta, dominating the game versus Minnesota, even though you lose 3-0.
Yeah.
This was a domination. We dominated the best team in the league last night. Like, we were by far and away the better team. Like you said, I know you tried to find some something to talk about with
Yeah.
Vancouver outside of the Berhalter foul and the play of Takaoka and everything like that. But they had nothing going, literally nothing going. The defense was fantastic. And I think they're going to get a little bit lost in what happened last night and everything like that. This is a great result, all right, in a vacuum. It's a great result. But when you look at this, when you look at the rest of the season going forward, and you have that game versus Atlanta, where you drop those 2 points in stoppage time, and then you look at this game where you thoroughly outplay your opponent, I can see it later on not feeling as good because you had 6 points potentially here to bankroll yourself and feel really good about it. So still a fine result, still a great result that I think that everyone who watched this game could understand Austin was the better team. And I think that was a huge response, not only from a mentality standpoint where it's just like this team embarrassed us last time, but also to try to get this thing moving in the right direction. And I wish we had a little bit more to talk about with Mirtu, man, outside of the first half kind of blunder that I think he had decision-wise, but he's got to get going too, and he's got to get going. And once he gets going a little better, feeling a little better, we can get these guys healthy. I think we can really start to judge this team even more so in a positive light than we have.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And again, another thing we were saying last night was we expected out of these 2 games 3 points. We expected to beat Atlanta on Wednesday, and we expected to lose to the best team in the league, coming in with a full week of rest, right? And you got 2. So it could have been way worse. I was expecting 1 after the result on Wednesday. So on FOTMob's model, Austin FC 1.39 XG to 0.26 for Vancouver, 0.8 on target to 0.34 for Vancouver. If you're looking at the ASA model here, 1.14 for Austin, the same 0.26 for the Whitecaps. I mean, it looks better. The results are not where we need to be, especially for 2 home matches, right? But it could be worse. And we're just trying to get through this month now. And with the week that's ahead, Wednesday night home against Houston, and then out on the road against Minnesota United. I don't know, we'll get to the Houston preview here in a moment, but now I think I'm shifting my expectations to rotation comes on the road at Minnesota now. And then you play for these 2, we said play for the Wednesday games, need to win those kind of bare minimum. And you didn't last Wednesday, but you certainly need to beat our biggest rivals here this Wednesday. And then an RSL team comes to town the week after that you're going to be favored against on paper. And that is of the games left in the league, right? The 3, you've got road matches, Minnesota and San Diego, and then the home RSL match. That RSL match, I think I'm pulling the lever that week, dude.
Understandable, and I think depending on how the rest of this month goes here, you have Houston on Wednesday, you have Minnesota up there on Saturday, and then that RSL team coming here. I think you'll be able to feel really good about this Vancouver point if you can go ahead and win games that I think you should be expected to win. And I will say, if you play the way you played last night versus those 2 teams, Houston and RSL, I think you're going to beat both of those clubs. Minnesota on the road is definitely a different type of beast here. So we're going to have to see how the guys are feeling and, again, trust the performance staff and make sure that these guys are going to be ready to go. So I could anticipate some rotation. But, yeah, I want to go for it on Wednesday. I always want to beat Houston. I don't know. It doesn't matter what we're playing them in. League, U.S. Open Cup, doesn't matter to me. So I always want to beat them. So I hope we have a good focus and a good mentality to bounce back and solidify the way we played last night and be like, this is who we're going to be, because we've been wondering, who is this team? What's our identity here and everything like that. So the results will be positive if you play the way you played last night.
Yeah, and then, of course, you can listen to the full press conference on the club's YouTube or website. But the thing that stood out to me is, Coach getting a little bit saucy. I don't know if he's, when you listen to it, is maybe a little bit different from reading it. But like he said, people are giving a lot of praise to Vancouver about how amazing a team it is, how hard they are, how good they are. And then they come here and we're able to – I didn't see them today. I saw one team.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we
he's not
just
wrong.
talked for a half hour,
Yeah.
and he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. He's definitely not wrong in that assessment there. But that is definitely a little spicy.
Yeah,
It would have been
absolutely.
it would have been real nice to beat him. He would have had something real spicy to say then, I'd imagine.
Anything else for you on this match?
No, I think I've said everything I need to say about it. You follow this matchup with similar play, moving in the right direction. We're going to feel much better about this team.
Well, let's move on to Wednesday night, where the Orange team comes to town here, a round of 16 in the U.S. Open Cup. Like I've kind of hinted at earlier, this team has multiple changes that we need to pay attention to, because if you don't, you're going to be saying who a lot on Wednesday night. Of course, when we talk about the U.S. Open Cup and we talk about the Orange team, we're also talking about Detroit. There's only so many times.
We'll never let it die. No, never let it die.
Of course, Houston bowed out of the Open Cup last year at the hands of Detroit City FC there, beat them in extra time on penalties. And it is notable, Houston was defending a U.S. Open Cup title, right? Correct. So we're also cognizant of the success that they have had in this competition. And you would think with us on the other side of this matchup that they are also going to take this one very, very seriously. Less than a month since we last saw this Houston Dynamo team out there in Houston. Of course, that was the 2-0 defeat, right? And something that our good buddy Profe has been pointing out, and rightfully so, is that since Danny Pereira went down in the middle of the first half in that match, Austin FC has yet to win a league game. So again, you can't change that here. It's not a league game. But advancing here in the Open Cup, a tournament where you are 4 wins away from the first, I want to say real trophy, but Copa Tejas is the realest trophy there is. But a trophy that other fan bases outside of Texas will recognize. Since we saw them last, they lost to LAFC 2-0 on the road. So that's, really no shame in that on paper. Then their round of 32 match was, of course, against Phoenix Rising. We talked about that a few weeks ago. We would have gone to Phoenix. If they had been able to pull off the upset, they went to extra time, but the Dynamo subbed in a lot of their starters. They did rotate, contrary to what we did against El Paso at home, but they brought in some of the big guns, the heavy hitters at the end of that match in extra time. They end up winning 4-1. Back in the league after that, they hosted Seattle Sounders, got a red card, and lost 3-1 in that match. But then over the last two, man, on Wednesday in the midweek, they defeat Minnesota 2-0 at home. They won that one handily. And then they go up to Frisco yesterday in their third Copa Tejas match of the regular season. They win 2-0 once again to take over the top of the Copa Tejas standings. Of course, things are imbalanced here. They've played 3. They've got 6 points. Dallas has played 2. They've got 3. And we've played 1. Of course, we're still sitting on no points in that table. But this is notable, man, and makes me feel just a little bit better that we have not managed to get a win up there in Frisco yet, because that was Houston's first win in Frisco in 14 years.
Holy shit.
You and I were at St. Edwards the last time they won there.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, and again, this is like one of those box scores that I'm looking at that, like, I think I have it pulled up right here. See the stats, man. Like, I'm waiting for our 0.47 XG game where we scored 2 goals. I'm waiting for our, Toronto yesterday, 2.14 XG, I think. 6 goals.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when we hit that game, it will come at some point. Yep. I hope.
I'm waiting for our Sporting Kansas City game. 0 shots, 1 goal.
Yeah.
I'll take that
I'll
even.
Take that.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, the last time we saw this team was the tale of 2 halves and the tale of Danny's injury. We were the better team in the first half. Didn't have anything to show for it. So, can't be too proud of that. They came out in the second half, and I think they made, we had a pretty bad mistake in my eyes in that matchup that led to that goal by Owen, obviously. But not just have we not won a league matchup since Pep went down. We have not scored goal in open play since that has happened in the league. Obviously, El Paso happens, but like in the league, we have not scored an open goal or an open play goal since he went down. So that just really highlights how well Pep was playing for us. And like, I'm super excited to hopefully get some sort of update on him shortly here, because I do think that he probably being 23 should be able to get back faster than Dessler, which that is becoming a huge issue because who knows what's going on with that timeline. I digress here, but like, again, we were the better team in the first half of this game, and things have kind of gone south for us since Pep went down. But I think last night was a good and accurate representation of what this team can do and how they can play. And if you play the way you played versus Vancouver, you will beat this Houston team despite the reinforcements that have arrived down there.
Yeah. Well, we do have some updated injury timelines that we can discuss here in a minute when we talk about us. But like you said, new faces here in Houston, because right when we played them, we were a couple days away from that transfer window deadline, right? So like we got Robert Taylor, I believe acquired Robert Taylor in the days after that Houston match. They acquired this Brazilian, I believe, center back here, Felipe Andrade, on loan from Fluminense. But he was apparently with Dynados. He was with their second team during the spring, and I guess on loan there, and then it got kind of upgraded, I guess, to a first team loan. And now he's splitting time with another one of their new acquisitions in Pablo Ortiz, who is on loan from Slovakian side Dunajska Streda through the end of the year with a purchase option. Ortiz is a left-footed center back. He made his first team debut for them in the Open Cup match against Phoenix. And again, those guys split time. First half for Ortiz, second half for Andrade last night against Dallas. So I don't know if there was an injury or a knock to Ortiz or not. We'll probably have to wait until the lineups drop to know. But that's not all, E. They also signed forward Toyosi Olusanya from St. Mirren in the Scottish Premiership. And Olusanya signed through summer 2026 with options through the end of the 2028 season. He had 14 goals and 3 assists in 67 appearances for St. Mirren. There were 40 starts in his tenure there. So I think he profiles, when this team is healthy, he certainly profiles as a backup forward option, but one that is, I think, more capable and talented than a lot of the backup options they've had behind Ponce, especially when like Sebas Ferreira has been on loan over the past couple years or just out of favor. They also got Junior Urso back from injury. I know he subbed on for literally 1 minute against us, but then he went out and played the full 120 in extra time against Phoenix and 90 against Minnesota in the midweek. So, I mean, that's 4 names of guys who were either injured or not even on the roster 3.5 weeks ago that I think you can expect at least 2 of those 3 new guys to get some time here in the Open Cup match on Wednesday. And also notable from Olsen's press conference last night following the Dallas match, Ezequiel Ponce, right, who, of course, is one of their 2 DPs. As we pull up the roster build here just to jog our memories, this is a 2-4 roster build with Ponce and Andre Linger as their 2 DPs. They have 3 U22, so they have that 1 empty U22 slot. And we'll go ahead just because, fill the quota here.
Fucking Lingerer, man.
Yeah, totally.
Linger.
Hardcore.
So they are led in goals by Ezequiel Ponce with 3. Linger, Jack McGlynn, and Amin Bassi all have 2 goals. But last night, Ponce was not active for the team, but he wasn't listed on the injury report. So Olsen said he picked up a knock against Minnesota on Wednesday and, quote, should be back soon.
Okay.
I would take it if soon was Saturday and not Wednesday because we know how dangerous Ponce can be up top. They're led in assist now by Griffin Dorsey with 5, and Jack McGlynn has 4 right behind him. So going back towards what they did last night, you see Kowalczyk, Artur, Brooklyn Reigns, Jack McGlynn, Escobar, Femi Odisu, Dorsey, all these guys playing 90 minutes. Bassi McGlynn came out in the 89th. But these guys, there's no rest advantage here really for anybody but Ponce if he's able to come back in on Wednesday night. So I guess we can, unless you have anything else to add about them, we can start talking about us and what we think we're going to see with the lineup, because my thoughts on what we're going to see have now changed. I thought we were going to be full strength regardless, but like, I guess if our guys can go Wednesday and then Saturday, flipping around 10 of the same 11 guys and most of them playing the full 90, now you have an extra 24 hours between last night's match and this Open Cup match on Wednesday. So I kind of expect to see a lot of the same, but keep in mind, Open Cup, 2 less bench spots. And as Coach did hint at, and this made me think maybe he is going to rotate more than I would like, because he was talking about in the presser last night that you have to approach this game differently because you have less subs and you have to plan for 120 minutes, not 90.
Very good point. Yes, before we move on, I think, you're compiling the information on their upgraded players, their upgraded lineup, and I was just like, damn, this team might actually be good now. Like they got they got some fucking guys now, and like you're getting a career year out of Griffin Dorsey, who's really coming into his own. But Jack McGlynn is one of my favorite players to watch in the league. Dude's absolute stud. He's super dangerous, and like now that they've paired him with some more high quality players, I think this is a dangerous team right now. I think if you look to the guys who didn't get time last night for Austin, I think that's where you're going to find some of the rotation here. I think you're going to get Julio. I think Rubio's going to play at some point in this game because, I mean, we haven't seen him in a minute here. Like you go down to that bench there with the guys who didn't play. Kolmanich, I could see getting a start in this game here for Biru, who's been playing a bunch. So, I do anticipate some rotation. And I think there is a proper blend of younger guys and kind of like role players that you can get in without sacrificing too much. I will be interested to see what they run out. I don't think they're going to play Ponce. And personally, if he's got a knock and everything like that, and you have this Wednesday game, I would assume you don't want to push him too soon, depending on the severity of the injury with so many games coming up for the rest of this team. But, maybe a CJ start here for BV. I could see that as well. And there are some decisions to be made because if this wasn't Houston, then I think you would see a lot more rotation. But it is Houston, and the implications are there. So, like, you're going to have to go out there and play this team with the best choice 11 you can come up with in regard to who's available, who's ready to go. But there is a blend to be found. So I'm interested to see. I don't know if you have anything that you're speculating on with who might get a start here.
Yeah, I mean, I do, like I kind of mentioned a few minutes ago. Now I think because we have the full, it's like 90-something hours between matches here. Again, I expect some rotation. I think Kolmanich, I think we're both on the same page. I would not be shocked at all to see him start for Guilherme. Rubio getting in there in the midfield makes some sense for me. Maybe again for a half, right? Maybe in there for an Owen or for a Sabo or an Ilie, who knows? But now I just think that the true rotation, like I think we see the DPs start. At least 2 of them, and Brandon for sure, because he just doesn't seem like, I mean, he's Superman with the minutes right now in terms of those attackers. And he came off a little bit early last night. And again, it's just the extra day. It's easier, of course, to go from Saturday to Wednesday and be more rested than the Wednesday to Saturday game with that extra day in there. And going on the road to Minnesota, to me, that's where we see more heavy rotation for a league match. But also you got to, looking at the guys who came off the bench and who were unused subs, you got to take into account that 2 of those guys are not there. So I think it's pretty clearly, to me, it's Thomas and Burton that will get left out. But, and also speaking of the injury updates, Coach said last night that both Dessler and Danny are in full training with the team, with the exception of Danny is not taking shots yet. And he expects them to be available next week rather than for one of these 2 matches. But he also, and again, I'm just kind of playing body language tone doctor here. I think he kind of left the door open for Dessler to be active, if not Wednesday, potentially Saturday on the road. Of course, he's not going to come right back in and start no matter who the opponent is. But man, if we are truly 2 games away from getting both of those guys back, even in a reserve capacity. It just makes my outlook a little bit more bright on the next few weeks for this team. And of course, the rest of the schedule, if we can stay healthy. It's a different. Is it crazy to say that Mikael Dessler is our best defender? Like, again, I know it's different attributes and different positions on that back line, but like, we've been missing who I think our best defender is since the middle of game 3.
Yeah, no, I mean, why would you not feel way better about this team with those guys getting healthy? I mean, it's night and day with some of the product we've seen. Like we talked about with Pep, like we haven't scored an open play goal since he went down. And Dessler, yes, I think in totality of everything that he brings, he impacts on both sides of the ball in ways that your BHI, your Svatoks cannot. Biru obviously is going to have a special place in my heart, and the bias might put him up a little up there. But Dessler impacts, and he knows, like he makes the right play every single time. He makes the right play, and I think he will help Buka out a lot because we saw early on that 1-2 combo. That was a real combination up and down that right side with somebody who knew how to deliver balls over the top, but then also position himself to allow defenses to have to understand, like, okay, he's here. You're going to have to choose between where we're going here. And that usually gave Buka a little bit more space. So yes, I think that he's a player who's going to raise the level, particularly of Buka once he gets back. And I can't wait to have him back. I'm just surprised that your words of encouragement did heal his body almost instantly.
Hopefully it didn't keep him out an extra week.
Yeah.
No, hurt his ego. Fucking yeah, man. And it's like, it goes back to last year too, when we saw those guys play and they had just started playing together.
They have chemistry. And, like we've been searching for like chemistry between the DP3 and stuff like that. Those two had chemistry and they were really building it. And unfortunately, you have the injury here and everything like that. They didn't get a whole lot of time last year together. But once we get those guys back, I'm going to feel really good about this team. I mean, we haven't talked about Robbie Taylor here, who I think has looked really great in his short amount of time. But getting healthy is number one thing right now for this team. But you're going to have to keep going through this muck here, and it starts with the orange muck that comes to town on Wednesday.
Yeah, so we did get a Robert Taylor update as well. Coach said 2 to 3 weeks. And again, like I'm kind of wary of that, like straight from Nico's mouth at this point, because Dessler, like they never reported a setback, and the initial timeline was 6 to 8 weeks with the emphasis on 8. We're going on 11 right now, I think. So like,
I guess the burning question here, right? I think this is the most important question is, are you getting Cleveland?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm on record. I haven't changed. I want to see Brad here because I want to prioritize the Open Cup.
Yep.
And I just, again, Steph is not as good as Brad.
Period.
Flat out.
Period.
And that's just based off what Steph has put out there on film. I know he's only got 3. He played with Fcito the one game.
It's
just not the same level.
Nope, he's just looked shaky, and like he doesn't instill the same amount of confidence in the rest of our players who are out there on the field as well. Yeah. So, like, if you are going for this, which I also want to do, and I think once again, if this wasn't Houston, then maybe I could see something a little different here. But I want to go for this. I think the staff wants to go for this and beating a rival after particularly, potentially losing to them twice in a month. Yeah. Would be, I think, a big uplifting kind of moment for the guys. So I hope that we go for this, and I hope we smash these bozos.
Yeah, man. And again, if it is Cleveland, and if we do rotate heavily, then I'm going out there and cheering my little heart out for all those guys for hopefully 90 minutes and not 120. Because this is an 8 p.m. kickoff here on Wednesday. I haven't heard anything else from any of the Capos who were kind of talking about wearing black to this game, but just putting that on your radar as a listener. If you are planning on going to this match, if that is something that is happening, that they want fans to wear black for the rivalry match, then we will amplify that message. We can get behind some gimmicks like that, E. So unless you have anything else to add here, how much is Austin FC winning by and advancing in the U.S. Open Cup on Wednesday?
1-0.
Fair enough. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1. And I don't know how we're going to score multiple goals against an MLS side, but it's happening. So, fits right in. Like we always say, don't care how you get it done, boys. Just, that's not 3 points. Just fucking advance, man. Survive and advance, Austin FC.
Wow. The best keeper in the world.
Quick Damien update to close out episode 225E from our resident Louisville City fan, Trevor Allison, taking on Hartford Athletic on the road yesterday. Damien got the start, played the 90 in a 1-1 draw. Hartford had 11 shots, but only 1 on target and 0 big chances on FOTMob's model. The Remember Some Guys segment comes early in this recap, because Manny Perez got the assist on the Louisville City goal. And started the goal-scoring move by winning a tackle on the defensive side. While it's another disappointing draw for Louisville, with the tying goal coming from Hartford Hartford was down a man and got the equalizer in the 67th minute. The player who was sent off got his first yellow for simulation in the first half, and the second one for a professional foul in the second half. Didn't really get his money's worth in Trevor's opinion. Not a lot for Damien to do most of the match, obviously, with only 1 shot on target. SofaScore gave him 2 high claims and a punch, which was a key clearance in the 87th minute off a nice cross. In the last 15 minutes, Hartford turned up the pressure even down a man and sent numbers forward trying to equalize. Dicey moment in the 81st where a cross came in off a really high off a forward's head. Damien starts to come out but then leaves it, stepping back to the goal. Hartford player takes it first time and sent it just wide. Trevor said he thought Damien made the right call as the angle for the shot was tight, and if he didn't get the ball, the goal was much more open. I think I misread this. Louisville was down a man. They scored down a man, and Hartford goal comes up a man off of a corner in the 88th minute. Good ball into the left side of the 6. Hartford player gets to the spot first, gets up higher to redirect into the side netting. No chance for Damien at all. Over a solid performance from Loss, Louisville City's issues, in as much as they exist for a team without a loss, are in the attacking side of things. 13 goals total from their 9 matches, which is not terrible, but is below the standard this team has set for themselves in recent years. And we know that is true from following along with this team. And yeah, I see the look on your face. Don't be comparing bars between the leagues. We don't want to do that.
It's not great. Thanks, Trev.
Yeah, appreciate it, buddy. Anything else for you before we shut it down here on episode 225?
Just one thing. You know what I'm going to say here. Fuck Houston.
Attaboy. That'll do it for us on episode 225 of the North End Podcast. We'll be back on Thursday once again, continuing our May Marathon cadence, recapping the Open Cup match against Houston Dynamo, previewing the road match on Saturday against Minnesota United, previewing Austin FC 2's matchup against Loons 2. That is on Friday night, and I believe that's a home match as well. So interesting that the Loons 2 are coming here, and Loons 1 will be receiving us to get their whooping next Saturday. We'll talk about all that and recap everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. Enjoy the beginning of your week, everybody. We'll do the same, and we'll see you back. We'll see you at the queue to fuck up Houston for 90 minutes on Wednesday and back here on Thursday for another episode of the North End Podcast. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.